Welcome to today's video. The Pontiac brand started experiencing slow death as early as the 60s. In this video, we'll discuss 10 Pontiac cars that ultimately led Pontiac to closing its doors for good and the ending of an era. Number 10. 1961 Pontiac Tempest. The 1961 Pontiac Tempest failed in performance and design. The car was considered a bargain-driving entry for customers who wanted a strong punch on the road during the 60s. The Pontiac Tempest engine is arguably one of the weakest ever. The GM division had retired the 239 cubic inch 6-cylinder engine that ruled in the 50s and made some advancements to increase the size to 389 cubic inches. Pontiac wanted to enter the compact car market following the success of the Chevrolet Corvair. Unfortunately, the 389 cubic inch V8 wasn't the right engine for this application, as it was too big for the compact economy car. Instead, GM swapped the V8 for the Slant 4 engine named the Trophy 4 and reluctantly offered the V8 as an expensive option. The engine produced 110 horsepower and 190 pound-feet of torque and was mated to a 3-speed column-shifted manual transmission. The car design wasn't that popular, and the styling was reserved compared to the rest of the lineup. While the company may have put effort into producing a compact car, the truth is the 1961 Tempest is by far one of the worst Pontiac models released. Number 9. 1962 Pontiac Grand Prix. The Grand Prix was introduced for the 1962 model year and would be in the Pontiac lineup until the company collapsed. Over the years, the Grand Prix underwent many changes, but perhaps the first year was the most noticeable, as its performance was less than drivers expected for such a large car. The Trophy V8 was the standard engine, producing 303 horsepower. Options produced up to 348 horsepower with triple 2-barrel carburetors, but that wasn't enough to give thrills during the 1960s automotive rivalry. The Trophy V8 engine was mated to a 3-speed hydromatic automatic, which, truly speaking, was a pretty good combination for the average city and highway driving. The company toyed with various design ideas for the car, including a sedan, a coupe, a station wagon, and a convertible. Number 8. 1963 Pontiac Star Chief. The 1963 Pontiac Star Chief was one of the earlier models buried in the trash heap of old and failed Pontiacs. The car was sold in the 60s with the front-end styling reminiscent of the early GTO models. The model started failing by 1962 when the company dropped the 2-door hardtop trim for the 4-door sedan and coupes. By 1963, Pontiac had sacrificed all the sporty and versatile features, considering it an era of high automotive industry evolution. So most competitors rolled out most of their newer and more innovative offerings, and 1963 Pontiac Star Chief sales declined. Pontiac also failed by increasing the internal competition the Star Chief couldn't withstand. The Pontiac Bonneville offered a more luxurious and powerful alternative within the lineup, while the Catalina was more affordable and sporty. This internal competition diluted the Star Chief's market position, leading to its discontinuation in the following years. The Star Chief had a V8 engine mated to an automatic transmission. This great combination would have made it one of the most sought-after cars, but instead Pontiac made small mistakes that may have contributed to its demise. Number 7. 1965 Pontiac Catalina. The 1965 Pontiac Catalina had what it took to be a real contender in the automotive world, especially during the 60s. Pontiac styled the car excellently. Its standard features were on point and affordable. Pontiac failed when it came to performance. The 1965 Catalina did not provide a reliable ride when it first hit the market. Truth is, Pontiac used the 389 cubic inch engine that failed to haul the earlier models perfectly. Pontiac was perceived as a performance-oriented brand, but the division decided to limit it. Despite being a full-size car, other brands like Chevrolet, Buick, Oldsmobile, and Cadillac from General Motors offered better performance. Customers opted for the Chevrolet Impala or a Buick LeSabre over a Pontiac Catalina, which might have initiated Pontiac's slow death. Number 6. 1967 Pontiac Executive. The 1967 Pontiac Executive is not a well-known model like the GTO or the Firebird. The car had a distinct style, very different from the rest of the lineup, which could have propelled its sales in the decade. The model was also released to replace the slow Pontiac Catalina, but customers did not embrace it. The 1967 Pontiac Executive's curb weight made it a failure in the competitive 60s market. The 400 cubic inch V8 would have propelled the Executive with authority if not for the 3,950 pound weight, which was too much. The Executive shared many design elements and features with other Pontiac models, like the Catalina, but the sharing of specs led to a lack of distinct advantages in a competitive market, and consumers opted for other GM brands. Consumers' interests had changed. They wanted more luxurious and sporty options like two-door sedans and convertibles. Are you ready for our remaining 5 cars that led to Pontiac's demise? Be sure to like and subscribe for more gearhead content like this. Number 5. 1969 Pontiac Custom S Series. You'll definitely have a double take when you look at the 1969 Pontiac Custom S Series. The car shares the platform with the mighty Pontiac GTO, which ruled the muscle car era during the 60s. The Pontiac lost by manufacturing the S Series as a base model car that came in a coupe, sedan, convertible, and wagon. While other automakers produced luxurious and high-performance models, Pontiac entered the market with the 1969 Pontiac Custom S Series, geared toward value-oriented consumers and families. The Custom S was only produced in 1969. This short production run limited its market presence and consumer recognition, considering it was a rebrand version of the Tempest with minor cosmetic changes. The 1969 Custom S Series contributed much to Pontiac's failure as it couldn't gain a foothold in the competitive automotive market during the end of the 60s. Number 4. 1971 Pontiac Grandville. Have you ever heard of the Pontiac Grandville? Probably not. The car faded into obscurity a few decades after its release. In fact, Pontiac produced it from 1971 to 1975 on a stretched wheelbase version of the GM-B platform. The Grandville was positioned at the top of the lineup, replacing the Pontiac Executive name. It was a massive vehicle to drive, considering that consumers, especially in America, had shifted to smaller body convertibles and coupes. The Pontiac division made another blunder. The massive styling of the Pontiac Grandville mimicked the Cadillac models, so you'd almost mistake it for a Cadillac. Looking at the fascia, especially the grille, from afar, you would actually think it was a Cadillac model. Having been positioned at the top of the lineup, the Grandville was to compete with already established models like the Cadillac DeVille, Lincoln Continental, and various Chrysler models. These strong contenders from domestic and foreign manufacturers took the lead, and the Grandville couldn't get a firm footing in the market. Number 3. 1971 Pontiac Ventura. The 1971 Pontiac Ventura was actually rebadged Chevrolet Nova, but GM made it far less potent than its Chevy sibling. It came with a 5.7-liter V8 engine, but was detuned to literally 1/3 of its capable power. Yes, we can agree that the 1970s was the worst decade for the automotive industry due to the oil crisis and emission regulations, but Pontiac could have offered something better. First, the vehicle built on the same platform as the Chevrolet Nova could not be positioned as a compact car. Sadly, what could have been an excellent performance car was turned into a weak passenger car. Number 2. 1973 Pontiac Grand Safari. For some strange reason, GM continually tried to make the Pontiac brand a shadow of Chevrolet, leading to more confusion in the market. Some Pontiac models were high performance, while others were geared towards regular consumers. The Pontiac 1973 Grand Safari is a station wagon that was one of their poor projects. It isn't particularly appealing or high performance by any stretch of the imagination. The car didn't pop out to you when you first looked at it, and when you got behind the wheel, you would have experienced the slowest unit ever. The Grand Safari was a large and heavy station wagon, which contributed to its poor acceleration speed, poor gas mileage, and difficult maneuvers in urban areas. Consumers had already shifted to smaller and more fuel-efficient vehicles due to the fuel crisis in the 70s. Number 1. 1973 Pontiac Aster. Many Pontiac cars were often poorly altered to make them lesser than their Chevrolet siblings, although some models were rebadged as Chevy. With this decision, Chevy was viewed as a favored son, and Pontiac was a stepchild who lived at the mercy of his favored brother. The Aster was a rebadged Chevrolet Vega, just like the Pontiac Ventura was a rebadged Chevrolet Nova. This rebadging was pretty terrible because the performance couldn't match Chevy's, as the company rushed to bring compact fuel-efficient models into the market. The Aster was plagued with significant reliability problems, including poor rust resistance and engine durability issues. The aluminum alloy used in Vega's engine was prone to rapid wear and overheating, causing frequent breakdowns and costly repairs. The Aster developed a horrible reputation for inherited Vega issues throughout its production from 1972 to 1977. After the bad reputation, including the safety concerns, it became hard to change the public perception. Amid financial troubles and restructuring during the 2008 financial crisis, GM announced it would phase out the Pontiac brand by the end of 2010. The last Pontiac vehicles were produced in December 2009, with the final car, a white G6, assembled in January 2010. On October 31, 2010, franchise agreements for Pontiac dealers expired, allowing GM to concentrate on its 4 remaining North American brands: Chevrolet, Buick, Cadillac, and GMC. So which of these 10 cars that led to Pontiac's death do you think contributed most? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to click the like button and hit the bell icon to be notified when we release new content. Thanks for watching.